All right, today we're diving into a model that could honestly change the whole game for craft entrepreneurs. We're looking at a community-based approach, and we're going to use a place called Bell Springs as our case study. This might just be the answer to one of the biggest challenges makers face today.
So let's just kick things off with a pretty big question. The whole idea of the lone wolf creator, the solo artisan building a brand from the ground up all by themselves. Is that becoming a thing of the past? It's a bold thing to ask, I know, but it really gets to the heart of a major shift that's happening in the craft world.
And that shift really puts a spotlight on what we can call the lone creator's dilemma. I mean, the dream of launching your own brand is amazing, but for so many artisans, the reality is just incredibly tough.
So you can kind of see the two paths an artisan can take here. The old way, going it alone, that's the classic American dream, right? But man, it is often so expensive and, frankly, really isolating. You're on the hook for absolutely everything. The rent, the equipment, the marketing, all of it. People are realizing this just isn't sustainable anymore. A better way is starting to emerge. The community model, which is all about sharing the load and winning together. So what is this better way? Well, it's a solution that puts community first. It's a direct answer to that isolation and those crazy high costs that can just completely stifle creativity and kill a small business before it even has a chance to get off the ground.
So what we're talking about here is a maker community. The concept is actually pretty simple, but it's incredibly powerful. Instead of every single artisan trying to build their own little kingdom from scratch, they join a space that's all about collaboration. Here, creators can share things like kitchens or equipment, they can pool their resources for marketing, and they can immediately tap into a network of peers and customers. The core idea? Collaboration is the absolute key to making it long-term.
And this is what brings us to our case study, Bell Springs. You know what they say? Location, 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 right? Well, Bell Springs is perfectly situated in the Texas Hill Country, which is this huge hotspot for tourism right outside of Austin. We're talking about one of the most visited destinations in Texas for wine, beer, and all kinds of artisan experiences. It's pretty much the perfect place to launch or grow a craft brand. So what does this actually look like in practice? What are the actual tools a community like Bell Springs provides to help these makers grow? Let's break down the Maker's Toolkit. Okay, the whole Bell Springs model really rests on four main pillars that all work together. First, you've got that prime location we just talked about, which brings people in the door. Then, it offers flexible spaces for makers to actually set up their shops. This is all supported by shared resources, like group marketing to keep costs down for everyone. And, this is a big one, for some, they offer contract production. This just dramatically lowers the barrier to entry if you want to start, say, a new winery or a brewery. It's huge.
Now you might be thinking, a place with a history in wine and beer is probably only about beverages, but the vision here is, well, it's so much bigger than that.
And to prove just how diverse this model is, one of the very first non-beverage creators to join was a pasta maker, making fresh pasta right there on site.
But of course, it doesn't stop there. This kind of community becomes a natural home for all sorts of artisans, including ceramicists who are creating these beautiful, unique, handmade goods.
You'll also find bakers there, adding a whole other layer of smells and tastes to the experience.
And even specialty creators like candle makers. See, this mix is the real secret sauce here. By bringing together such a diverse group of people, Bell Springs is building this rich environment where creativity just feeds more creativity.
And that diversity, that mix, it leads us right to the most powerful benefit of this whole model, the network effect. Seriously, this is where the real magic happens.
I mean, this quote from the source material just says it all perfectly. That's the network effect in action. Someone might show up for a wine tasting, but then they discover the pasta maker, and they end up buying a unique ceramic bowl, and they leave with a handmade candle. Every single business feeds the others. It's brilliant.
So when you boil it all down, this community model creates four massive advantages. First, sharing expenses lowers costs for everybody. Second, the natural cross-promotion expands each maker's reach way beyond what they could ever do alone. Third, as more makers join, the place quickly becomes a real destination. And maybe most importantly, it creates this incredibly supportive environment where makers can learn from each other and grow together.
So, what's the grand vision here? What's the ultimate goal? Well, it's about building something much bigger than just a business park. It's about building a modern village.
You really have to get that this isn't just about leasing out some space or creating a co-working spot for artisans. No, the goal is to create something that's way more integrated and meaningful.
And what happens is the community becomes so much more than the sum of its parts. It becomes a destination. It's a place where a family can come and spend the whole day exploring, tasting, shopping. The combination of wine, beer, amazing food, and handmade crafts creates this one-of-a-kind attraction that appeals to literally everyone: locals, tourists, foodies, and families.
And that brings us all the way back to our opening question, but now we have a totally new perspective. Is this the future of craft? A model where collaboration completely beats out isolation and where community builds something way stronger than any single brand ever could on its own? It's a pretty compelling vision for what comes next, isn't it?